Good evening, all, and welcome once again to another episode of Tinker, Tailor, Solder, Fry, the Let's Try program, here on the mighty Loading Ready Run Video Entertainment Network. My name is Ian Horner. I will continue to be your navigator through today's festivities and instructivities. But before we get further into what we're doing tonight, we want to remind you that you are the reason that this program exists. Due to your it's the reason it continues to exist, due to your fine help and contributions over at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. You help us keep the lights on. You help keep gas in my car. That's the way those things go. And you keep the shows running. And we greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much, everyone, for your monetary support various ways. I lost my train of thought. The train of thought was that, yes, this is a Let's Try program. What does that mean? Well, we're going to try something that we haven't done before. Maybe it's this week it's definitely a soldering, hardware-ish project, and we'll see if we get to success or not. Today's project is, as evidenced down below in the little information on your web browser screen, the 6DOF, which stands for Degrees of Freedom, Space Mushroom, which, this is it, essentially. This is the
Project success.
Yay! Project success.
It's a 3D printed part. Did it on resin, and you can see that I'm not too great at removing the structures from the resin just yet, so we'll be doing a little bit of sanding on this maybe a little bit later to smooth some of that down. But the idea is that this is going to turn itself into a controller, which I will be able to turn in the X plane, twist in the Y plane, and then lift or push in the Z plane.
And that's the Z plane is where the bananas.
Yes, that's where you need to.
What? You have 3 planes?
What?
Your mother lets you have 3 planes?
Oh, flatland jokes will abound. Lady Elios asked the important question, what's it to control, though? That's why I'm doing this. I'm looking to get a little bit more into doing some 3D modeling, some sculpting in Blender. And when you've got one of those keyboards that doesn't have the numpad, you've cut off a good portion of your camera controls. And if you're like me and you like to use a trackball rather than a mouse, you don't generally have a third mouse button. And if you're on Mac OS 10, third mouse buttons don't work normally anyway. So in order for me to have a good time rotating a model while I work on it, I need something to do that. Now, why am I doing it myself? Well, because I'm cheap, and because I have a show to do this stuff, and because I like to challenge myself every now and then. I could just go onto eBay and get myself a space mouse, which is a commercial application, which is like it's just a little knob, and it does kind of the same thing, forward, back, side, twisty, up, down. But then I'm spending big money, and then I'm beholden to large corporations for all sorts of problems.
Big space mouse.
Exactly, yeah. Don't be beholden to big space mouse. But yeah, if you want to follow along, this is available as a tutorial over on Instructables.com. I'm going to give credit to Shura, who is the author of this particular guide, and it looks like a good one. So what's going to happen here is we are going to spend a little bit of time, just a little bit of time, sanding down the space mouse, making it a little bit prettier, a little bit nicer to touch. I will probably end up painting it in the future. Then we're going to remove, because I don't know if I've done this before on air, but we're going to remove some support materials from the other pieces, which will be a part of the space mouse, which have been printed, again, also resin-wise. And we're also going to have to do some work on the larger pieces, which we've used different 3D printing technology to do, but nonetheless turned out okay. Exteriorly, they're fine for now. Interiorly, we have some support structure to remove, unfortunately.
Oh, that support structure is like weird Dr. Seuss support
It's
structure.
really great. It's new in the past couple of years. It's called organic supports. And used to be in Kura, now it's in Prussia, and it's just spreading basically everywhere. But they use a lot less space, or a lot less filament than the normal back, forth, and they end up being a little bit easier to remove, it turns out, too. Though I'm still dialing in the printer, so it's not as easy as I would like to remove some of these interior bits. So we're going to have to get that's what these are for,
Now,
all at once.
Now, is there a reason that some of it is resin and some of it is FTM?
Good question, Paul.
Is it FTM? Is that?
FDM. Yeah.
FDM.
Something depositive. M. I never.
Something depositive. M.
Yeah.
Filament.
Could be fused deposition material. There we go. Fused deposition modeling. Okay, so looks like we all don't know, but we'll hone in on it together. Reason being, though, is that for larger structures like this, where it's your precision isn't quite as important, it's cheaper and a little more efficient time-wise, and especially toxicity-wise, to just use the FDM.
So the resin printing is higher precision but more expensive.
Exactly. And I just remembered the biggest reason why is material properties. One of the things, we're going to be using some self-tapping M2 screws in this, and to do the actual functional holding of things together. So getting this piece in, making sure it's screwed down, screwing down the sensor piece to the side of this. That's all going to be done with these wood screws. And as Lurker Spine points out, resin is usually very brittle, especially when compared to, say, PLA, which is a very soft plastic, or even ABS, which is more brittle but a little bit easier to, you can get smoother prints with them and higher resolution. The other big issue is that size. I'm not entirely certain I'd be able to get something this size into the build volume of the current resin printer that I have. But yeah, really, it's the screwing that it matters the most there. I went with resin with these parts, though, because I knew that these spheres are going to be interacting with the insides of the inside edges of the knob itself. And so in order to make that a smooth movement as possible, I wanted to go with resin rather than this, because as you can see, in one direction, really smooth. If you turn it 90 degrees, yeah, not so, you've got a bunch of coefficient of friction to get over then before you're able to move.
Cool,
So,
okay.
Yeah.
And is that like in the instructions? Do they recommend you to switch that? Or is that,
No. In fact, in the instructions, the person who put this together did everything with FDM, it looks like. And most people who have put this together have done a similar thing too. But I figured I'd stretch things and let's try. And it turned out okay. Well, I assume it turned out okay. There is still a screw that's going to need to go into these things here, so we'll have to see how that ends up when we get there. For now, though, I'm just going to use these pliers to just yank things out. When you can get them out nicely, they make these, well, I mean, they look like trees, right? And then you can maybe just cover the top of them over, give them a little hit with some brown paint, and now you've got terrain for your miniature games.
Nice, yeah. I will say, if you've got that thing where you don't like to look at large amount of small holes close together, this might not be the ideal material for you.
Tree supports, not for those with the tryptophobia. I think that's the one, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm just going to see if I can jam a screwdriver in there and just twist some of these out. This is also the space where our microcontroller is going to end up, so we want to make sure that there's space for that there. Normally, support material shouldn't be this difficult to remove.
The support material is a little more robust than it's required to be.
Yeah. and that's due to a user error on my part. I'm still dialing in certain aspects of the 3D printer since I gave it the lobotomy and brain transplant.
Oh, right. You added a different controller to make it, and it's like 10 times faster.
Exactly. Yeah, faster. Most importantly, quieter.
Wow.
And it's all around good, but it does mean I have to dial in my flow rate a bit more. And the other thing I added to it was a bed leveling system. So it's a little probe that whenever you get your model, you'll load your model into the system, and then the system will figure out how big it is. And we'll say, okay, let's now examine the 3D printer bed, and we'll go down and probe the bed in the areas where you are, where it's going to be printing, so that it knows kind of what the elevation mesh of the bed is while printing, and can make minimal adjustments up and down to keep things level.
So it's not just like telling you whether your print bed is level. It's actually like a 3-dimensional topographical map. Of
Exactly. It's kind of saying, like, don't bother trying to level this. We'll just do it. We'll just make up the difference for you. And it's really quite good at that. Unless the screws that you use to mount that to the printing head have come loose on one side, and it's now kind of at an angle and providing you incorrect data.
Is this a purely hypothetical scenario?
Purely hypothetical. One should never need to check that, but you might want to consider that if you're having some trouble getting things put together and leveling. And of course, if you've got a modern printer, like Phil Dev says, a Prusa Mark IV or even a Mark III, with some of the bed leveling upgrades, you're going to be miles ahead of where I am. Those machines are just great, pretty much out of the box these days. Okay, there we go. This is one of the reasons why I don't generally do a lot of 3D printing, is this kind of cleanup. Even when you've got it removed on the inside, that's still a pretty unpleasantly rough surface. But all of this is necessary for you to be able to even get the that kind of overhang going.
Yeah, that definitely looks like some sort of horrible fungus growing inside your printer.
Yeah.
I saw a neat thing actually a little while ago that was showing, there was like testing a new technique of doing overhangs with sort of half circles.
I've seen that as well, yeah.
Where that it for whatever reason it allows sort of more extreme overhangs without support.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and it's interesting, especially how the different areas of the 3D printing technology sphere come together, because that sort of overhang trick wouldn't really have been possible without the introduction of doing proper curves into 3D printing's firmwares. For a while there, people they were literally computing arcs or making arcs out of jerky, very small but very jerky,
Right.
aliased movements. And then eventually we got to the point where we can say, okay, this thing now knows how to print an arc. We add this to the slicer software, and you get real curves.
It's I mean, it's neat the 3D printing, this like really rapid innovation in sort of both engineering, in the sense of just every time a new type of plastic or a new motor or a new whatever comes out, there's this big burst of new things that can happen with 3D printing, and but then also from the more sort of both artistic, like the actual people finding out about what kinds of shapes can be created and what kinds of innovative things, and then also the materials, like not just the printer, but like finding out that if we make the material like this, then we can do X and Y, and then if we do certain why certain shapes work and certain shapes don't, and we can now program all that into the slicer system, and it's pretty amazing what these sort of all sorts of different disciplines coming together and kind of leapfrogging on this stuff.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
I'm extremely impressed these days with the slicers that are able to now not just slice the thing into layers for you to print with, but to also slice a model into parts for you to then be able to print separately or at the same time, but also automatically add yourself little keys, like and by the way, by key I mean little holes and rods, so that when you finally do bring the model back together, it matches itself up properly.
Or I've also seen things where with special slicing if you need to combine two types of material together, PLA versus whatever different stuff. Usually they don't adhere to each other very well, but they can. The system itself can make a sort of a interlocked an interlocked interface between those two materials that will effectively weld them together during the build process.
Yeah, all done automatically in the slicing.
Yeah.
Kind of amazing.
Very neat.
There you go. This bit popped up a little bit better than the others. This is simply just a cable channel for you to. Yeah, I was.
It's one of those things you got to be careful. You don't. It's like clearing your walkway of snow or something. You get a little bit carried away and you start ripping out the. You have to make sure you know which part is the material that you're taking out and which part you want to keep.
Yeah. That's why I like it when the parts disengage a little bit easier. This one is going to need some more cleanup, I think, in the future. But we'll be able to get to the point where we can make it run today. But yeah, that's another cable run there, and that's a little bit ugly.
I see.
Yeah, we may want to get the knife in there, to be honest. But that should just release with no or very little prodding. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that's a little bit better. I'm a little bit happier with that right now. You won't even see that once we've got the mushroom itself installed. Okay, so that's a fair cleanup on that.
It does kind of look like painted ramen on the bottom.
It does. Okay, let's keep our area clean here. This might be my least favorite part of the hobby, is little bits of plastic that you will now find everywhere forever. Especially if you're on a plush carpeted surface. Thankfully we are not plush carpeted, but we are carpeted. So. But the plush makes the vacuuming a little bit harder.
I feel like there's a lot of crafting hobbies where you just have to accept that there's going to be a certain amount of detritus in your area.
Things are going to be a bit not great.
Yeah. It's just, if you're really into model painting, there's a certain amount of paint that's just going to get around.
Yep, you've got to be prepared for it.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do here is we are going to sand, and you might wonder, why do you have bowls of water? That's because I would not sand any resin without it. Or if I were, I would absolutely be masking up. You heard me earlier talk about how resin is toxic. Usually, when I say that, I'm talking about the wet resin. Because you don't want to get that on your clothes, you don't want to get that especially on your skin. You do not want to get it into your eyes. You don't want to get it into the water supply. You want it to be in your printer, and that's it. And then back in the bottle.
And you want your printer to be well ventilated and so forth.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's less dangerous, but definitely not great. However, when it comes to sanding, the cured resin, when you cure resin, it becomes much more stable. but resin dust is very small. And yeah, as Confracto says, resin dust, you do not want that in your lungs. So what we're going to do is we're just going to wet sand. And all that really means is we just need to make things wet so that whenever the dust happens, it doesn't go flying off places.
I mean, I guess it's usually like at finer grits, but doesn't wet sanding also often result in a smoother end product?
It most definitely does, because you're again taking away a lot of the you're taking away more of the material, not taking it off, but you're removing it from being applied back. So we're just going to dump that into the dirty water here, and I'm probably going to do the same thing with the paper actually, just to make sure everything's nice and moist. Let's just give this a few go-arounds. Ooh, that nice. It feels good. I can't feel any.
That's all it takes, eh?
Yeah, just a little bit to rough it up, and or not rough it up, but smooth down the bits. I'm just trying to feel here for any unnatural bumps that have come from the interface pieces or the support material. So in the past, I've talked about how I remove support material, and that my preferred method at the time was to before curing, heat them, dry them off of alcohol. Then use a heat gun to heat it up quite a bit, and then it just kind of pops off much easier. That time did not work so well for this one, which is why we've got a bunch more extra bits coming off. But more than that, before I actually did the top, you'd be able to see scratches from where bits of the pre-popped off support structure came back and started scratching against the top surface. And so, yeah, I think I'm going to try for the first time doing popping it off while everything's cured. And we'll see how that goes. Let's get a bit more water back in there, and let's get these.
Now is the difficulty in the remainder of the support material again the dialing in of the settings on the printer could be a little bit tighter?
That one's not the case. Yeah, that one's just a matter of when you're removing it and how carefully you're removing it. If I was careful to like individually get each piece of the support material and just give it a little clip, then it would be a lot cleaner. There's a lot less chance of me coming back and jamming other support towers into the uncured surface. Because the curing also makes things a lot harder. You know, kind of the point of it. Okay. And right, I was going to use this as the dirty water, and then the other one's going to be my clean water, so that I'm not, so that I can make sure it's clean when it's out and not covered in resin dust that's going to dry and get in my lungs anyway. By the way, this is my first time actually sanding resin pieces. Not the first time completely, but the first time to any real extent. I did a little bit of sanding on the parts that were resin printed for the button last year for Desert Bus. But that was kind of just smoothing down a single side because it was printed such that that a lot of the support materials weren't necessary along the rest of the body case. It's actually one of the interesting parts about resin printing, as opposed to FDM printing, is how much your layout matters on the print bed. With FDM, you're just generally looking to find the flattest structure that's going to sit down on the bed and hopefully not need any movement. But with resin, because it's printing in reverse and coming out of liquid, you need to make sure that the areas where you are connecting are strong so that they don't detach and your print fails. But you also need to worry about liquid. For example, look at what's happening here. If I had printed this thing in this orientation, this whole area would just be full of resin as it prints and lifts.
Oh, right. So you need like drain holes.
Yes, and if you're trying to do a hollow piece to save on resin or make things lighter, you need to make sure that there are holes in the piece as well where the resin can drain out. So.
And then also, don't you have to do? You often do resin printings at like an angle to the because if it has too much of a flat surface on the actual print bed, it won't.
Yeah, again,
and it'll not adhere properly, or it'll adhere too much.
Yes, and because you're again fighting physics. You've got your print bed, which is on the top, pulling up, and the thing that's actually being printed, the new layers, are literally pieces of resin that are being hardened against a flexible sheet on the bottom with a LCD screen underneath it. And then once they harden, the top build plate lifts it off, and you'll hear a sound. And I was very confused the first time I was printing. I'm like, what is that sound? Why am I hearing this kind of click pop from the other room every minute or so? Now I get disturbed when I don't hear the click pop, because that means something might be going wrong with the print.
It's that the absence of a sound that you've gotten so used to. Mm-hmm. Like, wait a minute, I haven't heard that in a while. Uh-oh.
Okay, so I think I can only feel one more little nubbin here that I need to sand down. This sandpaper is still good as well, but again, be careful where you store it when it dries out, so you're not just letting resin go everywhere. Let's do a little touch up on the bottom there. So there's definitely some holes, a couple little pockmark holes that still exist, but those, when we eventually get around to printing or to painting this, we can deal with that by filling it in with some glazing putty or something.
You just have to keep in mind that like your hand is going to be resting on this, so you want it to be pretty smooth.
Yeah, and you don't want to find that one little nubbin that you're always going to be able to find, like this one right here.
It's amazing how you've got the little chip in the rim of a cup or something, or whatever, some little imperfection. Somehow that's always what you'll feel.
Or in your teeth. I had someone recently who was telling me a story about how their partner had chipped a tooth.
Oh no!
And it wasn't a bad chip, but it was enough that they run your tongue along that chip. And just keep doing that because you're so aware of the inside of your mouth. All right. Last thing while we're here. Let's get back to camera 5 here for a second. I think I might be able to... Aha. See that there? That little pimple on the inside? That is also the result of a support bracket because, again, sometimes you need supports and reinforcements inside of holes, even when you're printing out. So that's the last piece that we're going to be removing, and I think I'm just going to tear a strip off of the sandpaper and just see if I can get in there with my pinky, because I don't want to be taking out too much of that. But
I guess there are little like sander tools that you could use and that kind of stuff. If you were doing a lot of this kind of thing.
I was actually trying to see if the Sharpie was the right diameter for this, but.
Oh right, just wrap the Sharpie in the. Or a pen or something.
Yeah, something the right diameter.
And then there's some pencils over here.
Well, I think I've actually got it. And I think I prefer, now that I'm actually doing it, having the pinky, because the flesh is kind of acting like a bit of a sanding sponge.
Make your flesh a sanding sponge.
Get that in there. Come on. But it doesn't take much to get that nub right down. Not sure if that's... I think that's actually all the nubs. So, that being the case, let's rinse off our piece in the clean water. And if you were curious at all about the difference in the water, one second here. This is the clean water. This is the dirty water.
Oh, wow, you can really see that.
Significant amount of... And that's the stuff we don't want in our lungs.
Yay!
And we didn't get it in there either, so that's good. All right, now, before we move on to the next step, we're going to de-wet the area a bit. Oh yeah, we're not quite done with the sanding too, because I haven't quite finished the other pieces, but that's okay. We still need to dry this one off and get it dry, I guess, before we start really assembling things. Boy, you can really see the difference now from the difference between the inside. Let's get back to camera 5. You can see the pock marks and support structures. You can compare that now with the top, which is much smoother.
Very nice.
And still a few missed parts, but nothing that I can nothing that I can really feel. So we'll call that good for this round.
If the mouse I use at home is any indication, a couple of years of using that and we'll smooth right out.
Yep. Good gosh. Ooh, I need to turn off my phone. All right, so we're only going to need 3 of these to start with, so let's just break one of those off the end here. That's good resin. So we got the piece, the support material, and the raft. And the raft is what connects itself to the build plate. So that's why you want to print with the raft, because it's more surface area to stick to the actual build plate itself. And then you build your support structures out from there, and those are the things that attach to the actual print itself. So, let's do this right, and let's use some nippers to get these off first. I'm getting pretty close, but I'm not going right up to the edge. I'm not using my God hands for this because I don't want to damage them. I think resin might be a bit too hard for that kind of thing. But you can definitely tell when you've got good, well-made supports, because they do kind of just come off. This one wasn't quite as good as the other one. That one's really smooth. But I'm glad they're all on the end rather than the outer edge, because that's what's going to be interfacing with the mushroom itself. So we're going to, okay, got those 2. And then we'll do this one. I always worry when I'm removing supports too about the possibility of yanking and then just pulling too much more of the material out with it. Grab our wet sandpaper and we'll just give this a little bit of a... Oh, we should dip those too. Yep. Before we liquid for the resin, liquid for me. Okay. And just a little bit there.
Just don't drink out of your sanding bowl.
Soup. I'm being very careful not to take off too much material here, because the being spheres, they're very easy to make into not spheres. Oh, there we go. That looks good and feels good. So we'll need the clean pot again. Get that out of there. Next up, dirty water. And a little bit of sanding fun there. One little nub there, still needs removal. Bob's your uncle. Last one. Easy peasy. I suppose the cutting mat actually makes for a bit of a, I guess you'd consider a very hard sanding sponge, but still a soft material in the end. Okay, that's it. That's all we needed. And we can reuse that paper too. Hey yo. Okay, that was the first worry that I was going to have about this project, was how long the sanding and the support removal was going to take there. Let's see here. Let us dry these off. Get a little dry. And I guess the first thing we could do is maybe attach these to our control sticks. So what's going to happen here is, as we mentioned, where's our base? There's our base. We have our base. Inside there will be the electronics, which will be an Arduino Pro Micro. Then we have this stand, which is just a triangle, which will be placed and secured into the base at the 2 and 10 o'clock position, and 6 o'clock for the third reader. To this plinth, we will be attaching these Arduino compatible analog sticks that we will be removing the top from and replacing with one of these guys. So let's do that.
Why is the little slot in the base like a star rather than just a triangle?
So the reason for that is so that you can, if you feel like you've got a, it's all about personal preference. If you set it up this way, then north is always north. But say you don't, you like to hold your mouse in a different position, maybe that means you might want to twist that so that you have wrist support there, but you're still pushing that way for north. Yeah, it's a way of changing in hardware the orientation of the stick. So I think I'm going to try trimming down a bit of these little ends here, see if that's going to help make it a little bit flatter.
Now, do you need 3 analog sticks or 6 analog sticks?
You only need 3 analog sticks, thankfully. Why do I have 6 analog sticks? Well, 2 reasons. One, they come in packs of 6 from the Seattle Delivery Company. And 2, because we always need a contact quote on this stream, why buy 1? Why build 1 when you can build 2 at twice the price? That said, I already paid the price anyway, so pay the silicone price. If anyone's a House Tully fan. No one's a House Tully fan. Let's be honest.
Ouch.
All right, that cleans that up.
I mean, I've definitely seen, like, the consensus seems to be when I've seen a lot of the, like, when you're ordering these kind of parts, because, you know, the value of the part relative to the cost of shipping means that it usually makes the most sense to, you know, at least order a couple extras in case something messes up.
Exactly. These parts are generally used to being delivered to factories in thousands at a time. So some Yahoo ordering 2 or 3 just doesn't make much sense. Right. That's there. So I guess we just need to start by inserting things into the triangle. Let's have a look at what screws they recommend.
Now I'm just imagining like a really good-natured, like, Cenobite. Okay, so let's just, I guess let's begin just inserting some of these hooks into you in various ways. And then we'll see how it goes.
We'll just see what happens. Okay, they just suggest an assortment of self-tapping screws. Not helpful at all. What is helpful is this set of bits. Too many bits. Those are the bits we want. And where are the screws we want? They are right here. Oh boy. This is absolutely the kind of thing I am terrified about just dropping. Okay. How long? Oh, these need to be very tiny. Maybe M. What M is this? We have no millimeters on this mat. But that looks like that's going to be, should be big enough to get through there. Oh yeah, that's perfect. That's just perfect. Look at that. Plenty of space. So let's get out 4 of those. And actually we're going to need 12 of those, aren't we? 4, and then another set of 3, 4. Perfect. And where's a good bit? Let's try this size on 4 size. Yeah. Come on. I don't know. I feel like it could get a bit bigger. It might want to be a bit bigger. It's the New Year's resolution that I just came up with today that I want to start using the appropriate screw bit for things more often rather than just finding one that fits. Okay, so let's start with corner 1 of one of these guys.
That's a good New Year's resolution. Screw better.
You'll just make everyone happier. Oh, this is great. Thankfully, we have more than one plastic part if we end up ruining this, but I don't. Well, you know what, Ian? Don't make promises you haven't kept in the future. Aha. I missed a hole. Aha! The holes. They must be aligned. There we go.
So you just have like undersized holes printed in the as part of the print, so that these can kind of
Exactly.
lock themselves in.
What was interesting about this print too is it's the first time I've ever been able to print a nice tripod thread that works. So if you didn't want to make a base,
Wait, that's actually a fully printed tripod? Wow, I didn't think that there was the precision to print a quarter 20 screw.
I wasn't certain there was either, and then apparently I upgraded my printer.
That's super neat.
Yeah, it's not perfect. It will hold for a while, but I don't think you want a reef on it.
There's a question in chat about like inserts or like heat set inserts or those kind of. I mean, I guess that would be a more permanent solution, or a more. I guess not permanent. The opposite of permanent.
Exactly.
Like if you need to bring it, move it in and out.
If it's something that's going to be screwed and unscrewed multiple times, then yeah, having a brass insert definitely is what you'd want there.
Especially for like a tripod mount or something.
Mm-hmm. But for something like this, it's biting right into the plastic itself is more than enough to hold this very steadily. So let's make sure that continues as we move our way around the triangle. Not the triangle of sadness, though, which I am going to have to watch at some point.
As somebody who does a fair amount of work with mounting cameras and so forth, there's that thing where you're at a certain point you're like, why aren't all screw holes quarter 20 screw holes? Like if you're making if you need to make a hole in a thing to screw something in that's approximately that size. Why not make it? But often they don't,
Yep.
just to make me angry.
Oh, especially if you're talking about audio equipment. Why did you choose a different bore?
It's like if you need to make a 1/4-inch screw hole, maybe just make it 1/4 so that if on the outside chance that it needs to be used as a tripod mount at some point,
Yeah.
it could be.
It's not like this is a proprietary technology.
Or 3/8. 3/8 can work too. There's there's a lot of things that use 3/8, but and it's easy to adapt one to the other. But it's frustrating. Although I do like if you get just a 1/4 nut that you can then attach to various things
Yep.
and screw those in.
And it just
handy.
goes on.
Yeah.
Okay, that's 2. And this is coming together quite nicely. I was wondering before why everything seems to be off. Each of these these cutouts seems to be translated to the right a bit. And as I screwed in, it's because, if you didn't do that, then the screws would interfere with each other as you screw them in.
Good point. Yeah.
Well done. Right, I was going to see if I can... Nope, not quite enough torque to auto drive. All right, let's screw that in there.
Like I'm all M8 and M6 screws. I am very happy to switch over to metric measurements, but unfortunately Canada has not done that in a reliable way.
No.
So we're metric for almost everything except building materials for some reason.
We're really a country of hey, it's there if you need it, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, so I believe I'm also supposed to use screws of this sort to attach these to the sticks a little bit more. I want to say permanently, because they are
Just like through the side, like a set screw sort of thing on the
yeah,
side.
yeah, because there is a hole there, and they are a bit loose as they come. So I'm going to give it a try. And we will see if this resin is pleased or not with that as an idea. Let's see here. So if we're going from the top, that's probably too far. This is probably just far enough. Where's my screwdriver? Gib. Yep, that definitely will get through. Okay, pray for nice, supple, and compliant resin. Just go slow. Let it cut. It's going in.
Hashtag supple resin.
Okay, I'm going to unscrew it again. I'm wondering if I should have brought my pin vise to possibly drill these holes out just a bit more. Yep, that's what I was afraid of. Okay, boom. Let's see, pull back. I'm not sure if you... yeah, there it is.
See a little crack there.
And that continues just all along there.
Oof. Do you have more of those?
Oh,
than you
yes.
need? Okay.
Thankfully, I brought 6.
All
so
right.
you can see the
so
in there. So yeah, I think what I'm going to end up doing is probably pin vicing these and then doing the screw attachment that way later. But I think for our purposes today, we can continue with the construction and still get it up and running as is.
I mean, I guess you could actually like glue them in or something, but
Yeah. That's definitely another option as well. I might even want to go ahead and change the design a bit in future when I'm going back, just to tighten up the tolerances in there, because the tolerances are like, that is a sharp hole right there.
that's true. I mean, you probably could have printed the screw threads for that side hole actually in the resin.
Huh. Oh, there we go. There we go. This is actually more difficult than I assumed it would be. Getting it inside here. Ah,
Can't insert. Yeah.
yeah, you got to go through the outside edges. And that's why you need the screws, because they won't hold together otherwise. But it seems like that is, well, it works. A good, smooth operation. I'm impressed. Right then. I guess what we should do next is prepare the Arduino. So what we're going to do here then is we will take a short break, get up, stretch our legs, swap our fluids, and then we'll be back with the conclusion of the, well, hopefully the conclusion of the 3D depth of field space mouse. Don't go all the way away. Welcome back to Tinker Tailor Solder Fry, the Let's Try program here on the mighty Loading Ready Run Video Entertainment Network. I've found a solution, or rather Paul has given me an idea for a solution that I think we're going to try, which I think might be the best solution for us for this particular build.
I'm gonna hold off on taking any credit until we actually see whether it works.
Good. You know what? Good call on that. Yeah, we tried out some brad nails during the break and checked another screw, and unfortunately these holes are just too small, as they are for really anything. Even the brad nail was just enough to give it a slight crack. So let's see if the hot glue is enough to connect us up here. Should be. And of course, like I said, I have another set here of the ends. So if this doesn't work out the way we want it to, I can always fall back on these, or just print new ones with better tolerances.
Yeah, I mean, it's that's sort of the fun thing about the 3D printing, your own 3D printing stuff, is that you're like, oh man, I wish this was just a slightly larger hole.
Wait a minute, I can do that. And that's exactly why we're doing this right now, is because I would love to be able to do that with greater ease than just than having to. Paul, I really don't like having to go move my mouse to the top right-hand corner of the window, grab this cube and rotate the window view, and then move my mouse back over.
I mean, I get it.
I want that I want to be able to just put my mouse button down and just spin the model to put a little trench in the Death Star. It's like, that's in fact what I'm planning to start modeling first. Is not the Death Star itself, but there's a number of ships from the.
I feel like the Death Star would be considered a more advanced 3D printing project.
I guess it depends on how big you're looking to get here.
Judging from Andor, there's a lot of parts that go into that would have to be printed individually.
I bet even something something as small as this could be a Death Star, from a certain point of view. Not the point of view a Jedi would give you, but... I ran into a wonderful thread of Columbo memes just the other day, most of which were Columbo interacting with the various characters of the Star Wars prequels. Now you say, sir, that you've heard the story of Master Sifo-Dyas. No, not Master Sifo-Dyas. You've heard the parable of Darth Plagueis the Wise, right? Yeah. I've been talking to this guy Obi-Wan over here a few weeks ago, my buddy here, and he was telling me that that's not the kind of a story a Jedi would tell you. No, you'll follow me to the holocrons.
I feel I never really have watched Columbo. I feel like I want to. There's a wonderful TV show that just came out a little while ago called Poker Face.
Oh yes, cool.
With Natasha. I forget what her last name is, but it's amazing and is. I have seen references to it. It does kind of have that club where she's sort of going around talking to people, investigating things, and then she was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just leave. But there's one thing that's still bothering me.
Yeah. That's always the best part.
I highly recommend checking it out.
Poker Face.
There's only one season out so far.
Oh, perfect. With the promise of more to come, I'm assuming, given how
indeed
popular it seems to be. Okay, gotta get it in here before the glue gets cold. Ooh. Come on. Okay, that's 2 in place. In a way
and once the way it works is once they're in place, they can't actually you have to insert them from the side. It's actually not.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, that one's got a lot more glue going for it. And let's get it in there before, again, everything dries.
Natasha Lyonne. That's what her name is. She's recently in Russian Doll.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, she's super cool.
Now everything's coming into focus. Oh, yeah.
That's so cool. And the controllers or the sticks provide all the sort of not force feedback, but the sort of springiness and the movement and stuff.
There's enough force there to keep everything at the proper level without having to hold it up. Full extension up, full extension down. All right. Okay. Let's keep on moving then here. I guess, as I said, we are now going to prepare the Arduino.
So did the person who came up with the sort of physical design of this also make the sort of the driver software?
Yes, they were the ones who made the initial driver software, which is the one we're going to try today to start with. But since then, the community has gone ahead and written drivers that work more closely with the official Space Mouse drivers for greater accuracy, greater control, and greater reliability. Woo! Fresh microcontroller. Let's hope I remembered to bring my micro SD, or not micro SD, micro USB with me.
So teeny weeny.
Yeah, these are my second favorite microcontroller after the ESP2 series because they are so good at being joysticks or being any sort of USB HID device.
Do they have built-in USB software on them, or USB sort of input-output stuff?
I believe so. Yeah, they've got the circuitry necessary for them, but they're also they've just got a bunch of digital and analog I/O ports, or pins rather. So one of these is good enough for I think, a full hot-ass joystick setup, even without needing to resort to matrices.
And so the USB plug that you would use to like program the Arduino can then be reversed and used as the input.
Yeah, as a sort of a host port. Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah, they're super neat, and that's why I have several of them sitting around for the next time I want to just make a thing, or make a USB thing. I think the last time we saw these, the last time we've seen this character on Tinker Tailor Solder Fry was during the joystick conversion. No, we used it on both the joystick conversion from the Thrustmaster, and also converting the pedal to USB use.
Ah, right. That was for your whole driving setup.
Yeah. No, sorry, no, not that pedal. For one of those stenographer's pedals that has the fast forward, rewind, and a big ol' play button in the middle.
Oh, that right. You use that as like a mute control on your computer.
Yeah. And I'm now experimenting with using it as a scene switcher for OBS as well.
Oh, neat.
You know, the idea you can use the forward and back to switch, cycle through scenes. But if you wanted to do a quick cut to camera too, you can also make that hit the pedal with your foot, do your little aside, and then come back to main camera. Where are my soldering supplies?
I saw a neat piece of software that uses like facial recognition to do that.
Interesting.
So
yes.
like you look at a camera and it cuts to that camera.
I think I remember seeing that as well. That was a fascinating technology for.
I mean, it had this whole thing where it's like using sophisticated AI, blah 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 blah. It's like it's facial recognition.
It's facial recognition.
I mean, yeah, I guess it's all. I mean, depending on
It
how
might-
loose your definition of computer learning is, but yeah.
It may also be trained on the AI, or the facial recognition engine might have been trained on a machine learning corpus.
But yeah, you're using. Of course, you got to be careful. I mean, especially if you're playing like a rhythm game or something, you start tapping your foot.
It has been a problem, at least stretching the legs.
Oh,
Right, I'm gonna do the trick this time that I don't do often enough to make sure things are parallel. And that is to,
all right. We have a thing for that.
yes. Now, it may also make it a bit harder to solder, or theoretically it might make it a bit harder to solder because technically the pins are being cooled by the breadboard underneath it, but also I need to make sure that it will fit. Excuse me. And apologies to those of you at home. Okay. It's going to need to be here anyway, so let's just start tapping.
Sorry. Could we use?
Oh, yes, sorry.
Move it a little bit.
Get it right into place. Okay. Come on. Become soldered. There we go.
These header pins just make it easier to attach attach anything else to this.
Exactly. I mean, we've got DuPont crimped wires to, and we've got DuPont pins on the on the little mushroom itself. So just
Rather than having to solder directly into the hole.
yeah, it just kind of makes sense to do it this way. Okay. Hoping I'm getting a good connection here. Think I am. Sounds like it. It's making the squeaky sound.
I didn't realize that there was. Usually, when your electronics make squeaky noises, it's like a bad thing.
I don't think it's a necessary part of the soldering procedure, but it does let you know when things are hot. That one could use a bit more, I think. There we go. Hello, ground.
Are these little Arduino, are these even cheaper than the ESP?
I think these ones are in the same ballpark. You know, you're looking at, depending on how many you're getting, you're going to get between $3 and $5 a piece. That said, things have changed in the market since I purchased these, so who knows if they're the same price. Keener Gets is thinking about getting a pedal set to play games because the thumbs are shot, trying to figure out how Dusty would map. Good luck. That sounds like an interesting project. I have a hard enough time trying to decide what buttons to map to my my back triggers on my little Xbox Elite. For what game?
Yeah, I'm very much like that. You know, accessibility has become a bigger priority for a lot of game developers, which obviously is wonderful for people who have disabilities, but it obviously has the knock-on effect that lots of other people like to reconfigure their controllers or keyboards and stuff.
Well, that's exactly it. That's why I am such a big accessibility booster, is because it's not just people rely on accessibility aids on a day-to-day basis. They're just how they live. That said, accessibility aids in terms of stuff on the web, stuff in video games, it becomes like this secret API which allows you to hack the access to whatever it is you're trying to access and customize it in a way that's might be more to your liking, even beyond what it is as an accessibility aid.
I remember seeing actually a talk by one of the product development people for OXO. You know, the kitchenware,
Good Grips people
company. Yeah, and they were talking about that. They were saying, like, we did this analysis and we were like, we can make our there's a certain range of people that you're a typical piece of kitchen gadgetry is designed for. We can expand, we can make expand that into sort of the like 95% range.
Yeah.
And what's great about that is that not only are we, making all these people able to do stuff, and from selfish point of view, expanding our market, but they're saying, like, in all the market testing we've done, all the people who were, capable of using the other versions like the more accessible versions better anyway.
Yeah.
Like, just because you can use the uncomfortable handle doesn't mean you don't want a better handle.
Exactly. Yes, that's exactly it. We can still improve these things. The Trigger Shot also points out that everyone is really one bad day away from being disabled, so everyone should care about accessibility for selfish reasons alone.
I mean, yeah.
That's actually that's a bit of an extension of my own personal slogan on that, which is, I mean, we're all one bad day away from being disabled, or perhaps between 40 to 80 years, because at some point, your eyes are going to deteriorate. Your ears are going to hear less. You are going to have trouble walking around because you're just old.
I mean, a number of years ago, I quite badly injured my hand, as folks who have listened to various podcasts might have heard. And if you have watched very old videos where my hand was in a cast for a while, my right hand was out of commission for about 3 months. Oh, maybe 2 months, and then another month of not being useful, and I started doing a lot of research into one-handed keyboards and things, and luckily I did not need to have that for too long, but
it's definitely a wake up. And then you're burdened with the knowledge of the fact that there are people who live like that every day, and that's when we learn what most humans call the skill of empathy.
What I found actually quite fascinating was how it affected my creativity. That because everything just took longer to do, it was more difficult to, I was less inclined to experiment with stuff and sort of see what things look like and things. And I found it was very difficult and really, really not only obviously drives home, people who are in that mode in a more permanent way, but also just this idea that, when you are using a piece of software or a tool, that, not having the right tool for a thing, or having that kind of block to being efficient in how you're working, can make a huge difference, not just in how fast you work, but then that has sort of a knock-on effect to all sorts of other stuff. Like, something that we encounter all the time is that, if you're if you're editing a video, and every time you want to see see a change, it's got to render for a minute or something, you're way less inclined to, experiment with different techniques and try different things. You really want to just do it as simple as possible.
To do it right the first time.
Whereas if you are, if you've got a computer and a setup that's fast enough to get things close to real time, then the amount of freedom that affords you is quite, and that sort of has a impact on sort of creativity and stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of an interesting thing to think about.
It really matters. Okay, good. There we go. Just wanted to make sure I had the right kinds of jumpers and the right numbers of them. Thank you for covering that air. All right, so we got 4 there. We've got, what is we doing here? 4 on that one, and white, black. Okay, so we'll just have the orange out on its own. Okay, let's get these connected up here. I hecked up. I didn't heck up.
The fact that the way there wasn't even a pause.
It's like, should have looked at how many pins there are on each one of these things before tearing off sets of the perfect amounts. The wires will continue to work, and eventually all of them are going to get torn into individual strips. But now what I've done is I've just made 4 sets of 4, which is not good for anyone. So we'll just now need to have 4 individual stripped ones, which I will remove from the 3 individually stripped one, which I thought was not necessary.
Now, are you actually using all 4?
That's a very good question. I don't think I am using all of them. Yeah, because I won't need to use the switch. I think if we end up having to make a click, yeah, that's not going to work. So ground 5 volts, VRY, and VRX are what we need. So now I need to have a look at the instructions here a bit and figure out how this is actually wired up. And if you want to, I've got the wiring diagram on the monitor here if you want to throw that up to anyone. This is what we're going to be putting together. So 5 volts of all joysticks will go into the... I should look on my monitor for this.
So there's 5 wires coming out of the joystick, which are X, Y, power ground, X,
power
Y,
and ground.
Power ground, and button.
Yep, that's the normal one.
So the X and Y are like potentiometer kind of things. Like
exactly.
they're an analog signal.
Not a digital.
So that, and which means or do we know one of these things that there's sort of a certain pins are like analog pins and certain pins are digital pins and stuff?
And some of them are switch, but they can it depends on how you configure them. In this, well, actually, let's compare this to the sheet that I keep in the box with my extras here, which is So yeah, power, ground, and then we're using
Just for
yeah, these are for the yeah, of course, these are specifically for MMJoy 2, which is the firmware I use to make USB joysticks out of these things here. And this one is the same pin for QMK, which is a keyboard-based firmware. For your keyboard rows there, your rows and your columns for putting together a matrix. But in this case, yeah, we're connecting to analogs 0 through 3 on the right-hand side, which are pin 18 through 21, and analogs 7 and 6 on the other side, pins 4 and 6. And there's still another three analog channels that we could actually use there too, if we wanted to. But let's start with the power. Going to use red for some of my powers, and then another color. And let's fix this one's bent pin, just by bending it a bit. Okay.
On the subject of remapping, the joystick, like what's often like L3 and R3, like the click of the joystick click in, is a personal sort of peeve of mine in the sense that it's not, it isn't, I don't find it a very easy move to do. And there's a few games that I've played that have like, it would be like, push the button, push the joystick into like, send out like a radar ping or something. Like it's something that you do like all the time.
Yep.
And I was playing and like I was noticing that like my thumb was like cramping up. And so I remapped it to a different button and it was like, oh wow.
So much better.
This is so much better. I can, map something that I never used to that. And
I'm currently doing Souls for the first time in a successful way. I'm not bouncing off of it. I'm actually pushing through it. It's amazing. Ooh. But I find myself constantly getting goozled because I am pushing the L stick in, which causes you to crouch.
Uh-oh.
And sometimes you don't want to crouch when you're, getting right up to someone and want to run fast. But
yeah, it's for some reason the push the joystick in, it just in certain circumstances just can be not a very comfortable.
Yeah, any of the joystick ones are absolutely contenders in my books for the back.
Yeah, the
switches,
which a lot of controllers don't have at all, but it's a nice addition.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. Don't put everything on my thumb. I have all these other fingers.
Let's do these two. You know what? I have now separated all of my wires. I'm free. Right, let's start with the VRX, which we will... Actually, let's go with ground. Let's make sure everyone's got ground. Everybody loves ground. Ground. It's where your electrons go.
So all of the grounds that are coming off of the Arduino are interchangeable, eh? Like you can like, or do you take one ground and split it out to all three?
I'm just sticking them all into the one pin slot at this point. What I could do probably, and what I should do, is make a chain, so that it's just a chained ground between all of them, rather than chaining them on a prototype board like this. But here we are. Right.
Oh, I see. You're actually. I didn't realize you were actually using the breadboard to.
To actually set it up first.
I thought you were just using it to hold the.
Ooh, okay. Now I'm learning something as we go, and I need to keep the area underneath the where it's going to screw into something free of debris. so that I don't get everything tangled. Okay. In fact, when I probably button this up to do it in the end, I'll probably make my own cables with straight up 5-pin jumper connections. So it's just a very simple plug-in, very clean, whatnot. Okay, so they're powered. Now we just need to get the data lines. So let's go with, I only have 2 colors of each of these wires, so everyone gets to be their own thing. We're going to go with, I guess, gray and brown are different colors, so let's go with green and orange as our normals. And then the purple will have its, or no, and I guess white and brown? Sure. Okay. Let's see here. VRX of joystick 1. So we're going to call this, yeah, joystick 1, and then going around clockwise. So joystick 1, VRX is pin 20. Wait. VRX, pin 18. Which is a different, oh right, A0. Thank goodness for 2 different methods of labeling. Okay, and then clockwise from there, VRX of joystick 2 is analog 2, which is up here. Okay.
Actually, so how breadboard work is that they're all the holes are connected in lines, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the red and the yellow, or the red and the blue lines are also connected all the way down.
So you get this direction that way, and then this direction on that side. Yeah, those are all.
So by making, like, the way you set up the Arduino there, so it's sort of straddling that center line, so that means that the 2 sides are isolated from each other.
Exactly. Yeah, and we've only got one thing that needs to plug into things on that side, so that's
Cool.
why I've set it up in that manner. All right, and then finally, let's go purple, I guess. VRX of joystick 3 is A6, which is from ground 1, 2, 3 down, pin 4. Yes, good. Okay. Yeah, ground, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. All right, finally, we've got our VRY of joystick 1. VRY of joystick 1 goes to pin A1, which is that one right there. VRY of joystick 2 goes to pin A3, which is up there. And then we're gonna go with, finally, oh, this is getting nice and twisted.
This reminds me of trying to, like, wire up the little internal, like all the LED headers and stuff on a motherboard.
Yeah, that's never fun. Okay, and 6. There we go. Okay, that's our little joystick plugged in. Let's actually put it on a plinth here for a second, so it's not You know, let's tangle it up in wires. That's what we'll do. Everyone loves that. There we go. Oops, bit of cross thread. That's dealt with now. Okay. Ooh, wow, that is heavy. It doesn't want. I do not want to tilt that for purposes of making sure it doesn't topple over. Okay, that is that. Let's put these away for now. And let us start thinking about getting our data in there.
Did you just mute your mic?
Yes. No one needs to hear me expectorate my nasal cavities.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Please edit the red text in the source code to use in your applications. That's right, because this person wrote their own code, and then people made it different for them. Okay. Let's make sure we've got mouseconservative.eno, which I have now. I am launching it. And is it because it's not open? Is it because there's already a sketch open? I hope not.
Oh, whoops. Looks like looks like the screen capture switched over to.
Oh yes, I've given it an area of interest, but
I see. Okay.
it's just not. We'll remove that for now.
Capture settings. Yeah.
Okay. Might need to quickly relaunch the Arduino software.
It looks like a little mini version of like some the evil tripods from like a dystopian future.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely has that sort of what do you call it? Half-Life 2 vibe.
Yeah.
Oh, good. This is good to know. I need to set the app to Blender now rather than Fusion 360 because I don't have Fusion 360 installed on this. Number of apps. Currently no function to switch between apps. Motion 5, invalid 1. Everything seems normal here. We'll absolutely be moving towards the more official firmware once we've got this up and running properly.
Is this currently the way the system works is you actually hard code what program it works in?
Yeah, exactly. And then you've got a conversion matrix from sensor output to rigid motion, which is an interesting hack.
Nice.
The person has absolutely copped the fact that they are not programmers by trade and would absolutely love any assistance anyone can give them. And people have been giving a lot of assistance.
Which is great.
Yeah. Oh, hey, I forgot we have our TV transmitter still here.
Oh yeah, that was cool. Yay for open source.
Yeah. I may have forgotten a small piece of equipment that I know we have here, so we're not in trouble yet. But, oh, no, good. I keep it in here. I need a USB cable of the type that, damn it. Paul, would you be so kind as to get me a micro USB cable?
Micro, not mini, right?
Yes. Yeah. Keep the mini with me. Don't keep the micros around. What have we got in here? Just that's of interest at the moment. I got some header files. We've got a bunch of the IR LEDs that I have not used yet. A couple of serial flash devices and a Adafruit blue fruit feather. I think we were thinking about using that as a test bed for a Desert Bus button. Thank you kindly. I'll make sure that gets back into the archives. Now we also need to make sure that this is one of those. This is a data cable, not just a charging cable, too.
That's true.
Ooh, ray power. Ah!
We have others if that one doesn't work.
Okay, well, it's powered. I didn't hear boom, boom, boom. Device manager. Oh, I think we're good. We've got the Arduino bootloader in COM6. So we'll swap that over to port COM6. And we'll have to change our board over as well.
Arduino Leonardo.
And we are going to need, after it's finished downloading the index, Pro Micro? Oh, good. We're fine. It's already in the list then. Tool. Let me give me my board. Yep. Here we go. Pro or Pro Mini. Right, Pro Mini. Okay, wait a second. Yeah, Pro Micro, that's what it is. Okay, let's make sure we're correct here. So I guess maybe it is Leonardo that we want to be using. I think so. Wait a second, there's more above. Yep. Okay, Leonardo. And that is a... All right, let's give it an upload. Verify and flash. Compiling. Compliance.
I see. It looks like they've got almost like a ribbon cable coming out.
Mm-hmm.
It's kicked it all up.
Okay. Huh. Maybe I'm wrong there. Okay. Arduino Pro Micro Flash.
That didn't work?
Did not seem to. We always seem to have this problem, don't we? There we go. Not listed. Yep. Give me the answers. Go here. Okay. Custom URL. That. Why would that be?
What? For some reason, it's not part of the library.
Yeah, I guess. Just want to make sure that I'm going correct here.
This is if you don't have the board manager.
Right. Okay. Additional boards. So many boards. Okay, tools, board, manager. And we're looking for Spark. There we go.
Including the Pro Micro. There
Yep.
you go.
That's why we always have the trouble.
I love. I always, whenever I'm looking up stuff online, I always think of that XKCD cartoon that has like, you know, when you the loneliness of like having a really weird, unique problem, finding somebody else on some random forum with the exact same problem 5 years ago,
Yep.
and they're like, hey, I have the same problem, and then they update being like, oh, I fixed it, and you're like, what happened? What do you know? Where did you go?
Oh, yeah, that's always my least favorite. Someone was telling me to, one of the people I follow who does the Gundam research on Twitter was talking about the fact that with Twitter shutting down old accounts like this, Twitter was great because you used to have people who would just show up and say things out of their knowledge of the industry and tell stories. And now with these accounts getting shut down, all of this information is just going to disappear, and your sort. You know, if you ever wanted to try and reference it in a paper or whatnot, it would be like, oh well, please see a tweet some guy told me sometime in the past.
Because when an account is removed, all the tweets are no longer accessible.
Exactly, because it's a new. It eventually becomes a new account, essentially.
Oofa doofa.
Yep. Not great. I am uploading. Flashes happened. Oh, USB device.
Computer's like, what is this? What are you doing?
What's going on here?
Something weird and freaky is happening.
Okay, and let's just see here. Is there anything in... Okay, the board is not available on COM6 anymore. Whoops.
Well, now it's switched over to being a USB device,
Yeah.
I guess.
So I guess...
So it's switched to being a host, so it's
Yeah.
totally, yeah.
As it should be. Okay, so now that we've done that, two types of base, I guess we just attempt to launch...
Like, do you need to install drivers or anything, or is it sort of...
It should already know what it is. In fact, actually, we've got the USB list up here.
So it said unknown USB device.
Yeah.
Device descriptor request failed.
Let's see here.
Like, should it think it's a controller or something? Or what? Like, what should it think it is?
My code is tuned for Blender on an ARM-based Mac. So we may need to run that as a Mac, but you know what? Let's just go to the comments and attempt to run some of the new software that they've got here. Actually, three months ago, where was it? Aha, the paste bin, which should emulate a real Space Mouse and would be the best way to use it. Any follow-up on that? Aha, more.
This guide is useful for fixing the product and vendor ID.
Interesting. Let's grab the code. Go away. Go away. Oh, right.
good old compile and run random code you
Yeah.
found in a paste bin.
Just grab it from the paste bin. Blind attempts. Okay. Makes your Arduino act as a 3D connection space mouse directly. Interesting. To make this work, you also need to set the USB vendor ID and product ID values matching a real 3D connection device. You can do this by editing appropriate entries in the boards.txt file in your Arduino installation. Aha!
Example values.
Okay. And that's done in the boards.txt file. Well, let's go have a look at the boards.txt file. Where is the boards.txt file? Arduino boards.txt location. Hardware. Aha. And boards.txt. Okay.
So guys, go find your board.
Well, I think what we're doing here is what we want to do is find the Pro Micro.
Right.
Pro might be? Nope. Micro. Pro. Actually, a micro is probably the one we want to use. Can't find micro anymore. Well, find up. Gesundheit. Ah. I think these might be just the standard boards. Which means... Let's go have a look at that gist and see if it's a long process or a quick process. Oh, create a new set of folders. Okay. So this is going to take a bit of thought process to get through here, but yeah. Okay. Here's what I'm going to do instead. I'm going to boot this computer into a different OS. And
So you think that it's just like it's set up to run on Mac?
I think it might just be set, if it is set up to run easily on that, that's a good way of testing this. And then we can make the swapping of the USB codes an exercise for the broadcaster.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Nobody did anything wrong. Oop, gotta make sure to hit the button. So this will mean I'll have to flip the laptop around as well to be visible, but... If you'd like to see a laptop boot up into macOS in verbose mode, that's what it looks like. And
Hackintosh laptop here, eh?
Yep. Only 2 hard drive slots, though, so I don't have a place for Linux just yet. But I get most of that from the old Mac side. All right. Let us launch Blender. I unfortunately do not have the NDI installed on the Mac side here, Paul, so apologies there.
Do you have Arduino on the Mac side?
I do. I think. Nope, I do not have the Arduino on the Mac side. But, like I said, we do have the blendation, and we can also see what the Mac thinks about this, this USB device. System report me. Where's my USB? USB. Huh. Well, apparently sees the fingerprint reader, which is new.
Is my fingerprint reader working? Yes, which is weird because I don't have a fingerprint reader.
It shouldn't be working in this particular machine.
Does it think the mushroom is a fingerprint reader?
No. And it does not appear to be moving anything in Blender at the moment. So it may not be respondent. Well, that's no good. Let me see here. What do you think? Would this be an interesting thing to continue plugging away at code-wise on stream, or should we use that as as I said, as an exercise for offline homework?
So is the sticking point just that boards.txt, or is there a bunch of other stuff that needs to get figured out?
Once we get the boards.txt figured out, it should be a simple upload. In fact, it might even just work on its own.
Just as a quick check, are you back in Windows? Or
I'm going to send myself there right now.
if you go back in Windows, I'm just looking. I just pulled up that that SparkFun page about how to get the device or install the board
boards?
manager, and it seems like it indicates that there should be like a SparkFun folder in that hardware folder that has the SparkFun boards.txt file.
Yeah. Let's have a look in there then. Because that could be a very easy fix. We're just literally telling the system to spoof its identity.
Which, by the way, as you can see, demonstrates that is a quite easy thing for USB devices to do, which is why there's certain nefarious USB devices that can do stuff like, say, pretend to be a keyboard and record all your keystrokes and do all sorts of unsightly things like that.
Generally, the good advice is just don't blindly trust every USB device that's been sent your way.
Or my favorite one is the USB flash drives or whatever that are like, oh yeah, I'm a terabyte.
Yep.
I only I only have 20 megabytes worth of storage in me. Oh no, don't worry, I'll figure that out. Just keep sending data. I'll deal with it.
Okay. So we've got Leonardo Micro. No. Libraries. Come on. Go up for me. So we've got the boards here inside the hardware, but
So there's not hardware SparkFun AVR?
no, but I think I have an idea. This is, yep, I think this is where we're at. No, keyboard from Ethernet, okay. Not there either. maybe the maybe they wouldn't go up just one more level, would they? Drivers. Oh, wait. All right, let's have a look in the preferences here. Sketchbook location, that's normal. Additional boards, managers. Spark Fun, here we go. Yep, found it.
Aha!
Good.
Trixie.
So for those who are curious as to where it was, it's buried under your, oh god, you pretty much have to get to it via the preferences, the extra preferences in,
So it is not, in fact, in the documents Arduino.
no, it is in, oh boy,
Oh,
app data
packages,
local,
app data.
Arduino 15, yeah, packages.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I don't like that. But let's shut down the app so that we can start it up fresh. Boards. Spark Fun boards. We have it open twice. Pro. Cannot find Pro. What? Makey. Well, we have one of those around here. Pro Micro. There we go.
Oh, weird. So then VID and
Yes.
PID.
Upload bootloader.
I see VID.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Thank you.
Where's PID?
Ah, okay, so you can just add them as a second line.
Oh, all right.
promicro.build.pid equals.
Yes. Vendor ID, product ID.
That makes sense.
Which makes sense why it says it doesn't know what it is, because it has no. It had a vendor ID but no product ID.
And then we probably want to change our product name here too to be the proper one. PID equals that. A VID. Oop. OX256F. Whew, how'd you get such a nice hex value?
There's something about Space Mouse Pro wireless brackets cabled I find highly amusing.
Okay, let's.
It's a wireless mouse, but we need to use this cable in order to stop it from floating up off your desk.
Give me the raw. We've saved this. Let us now open our. Oh. Let's make sure that it did save.
Is there a concern that changing this file will mean that any future Arduino you plug into this will think it's a mouse?
Yes, if I don't put that back. So I think the key is restore from source. The Pro Micro flashing stuff. Although, given that we have to look for it every time anyway. It's just not a.
Is it? It's like compiled, like once you compile this and flash it onto the device, flash it onto the Arduino, you could change that board value back, and this device would still think it's going to be like that. The flashing process sort of locks that in onto that product, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I think what we're looking at here when we see that boards file is that's really just kind of almost a variable set that
Right.
just
It's
gets
sort of
folded in.
right. It's sort of a global thing that gets
Yeah.
that sort of goes with the actual code that's being flashed on.
So that we don't have to declare those in each file.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Compiling seems to be going okay. All right, let's put it in. I don't believe you that the boards have an update. I think that you're just recognizing that I made some sneaky changes. And now there is an diff. Okay, uploading is occurring, apparently. Oh, couldn't find board and selected port. Uh-oh.
Oh, was it? It still thinks it's a USB thing.
Right. So we'll just need to,
Can you make it stop doing whatever it's currently doing?
yeah. Also, I think this is a 5 volt, or is this where's port? COM3.
Well, it
Yeah.
switched itself over to host mode, though, right? Like,
Pretty immediately.
so can you? Is there like a way to clear it out
Bring it back.
so it stops being a USB device again?
It's a good question. You absolutely should be able to do that. Let's see here.
Come back to us. Just like factory reset it.
I think, if anything, what I just might need to do is just uninstall the device. Sure.
It needs to like release it from.
Yeah, being connected. I wish that it would keep the compile before trying to do another upload. Okay, let's try again. USB device not detected, but it is still again. Yeah.
So yeah, because it's still running that old code now, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I don't know. Yeah, is there? How do you reset it?
Pro Micro Force bootloader mode. Okay, so we need to.
Press reset twice.
So that is RST and ground.
Oh, resetting it in particular can be tricky because there's no reset button. The RST pin needs to be connected to ground to initiate a reset.
Yep, that's not too difficult. We have ways of making that work. So reset, and then to ground. 2 quick presses. Boop, boop.
The device manager flashed there.
So boop.
So presumably it should come back on COM6, right? Which is where it was before.
Yeah, theoretically.
I don't.
Do I plug it in and whoop? Maybe just leave that on its side for now. Nothing yet. That's calm. Okay, let's try touching ground. Bonk, bonk. Reset, reset. Aha! We've got it! Calm 6.
Calm 6. Beauty.
No! Okay, so we need to do that while it's attempting to upload.
It won't just stay like that?
Looks like it doesn't.
How awkward.
Yeah. Okay, and boop, boop. And it's in, yeah, it jumps immediately to bootloader mode. Done uploading. Okay. Well, that worked. Device descriptor failed. Microsoft bad device. Let's double check everything here. Looks good. Oh, actually, maybe it is that it should be in 5-volt mode. Let's try that. Okay, upload. Bonk, bonk. Why does it say done uploading that quickly?
So I'm just looking at a thing here. It says if you just make a new, like, upload a blank project to it.
It should be a lot.
Upload a blank project. So open an empty sketch, and then short rest the ground twice, which gives you 8 seconds of reset time, and then upload your empty sketch.
Okay. Oh god.
Quickly short rest the ground twice again, and wait for it to finish.
Yep, I see it. God damn it. Okay, at least now it knows that it's in port 6. The annoying thing is I can see it in here. So let's close the Bluetooth. We can see when it pops up. So, boop, boop, 2, 6.
So when it says uploading,
Okay, so basically what I need to do is I need to get it there.
so it says, yeah, so quickly, it should appear in the Arduino IDE. Start uploading the empty sketch. When the status changes from compiling to uploading, short it twice again, and wait for the process to finish.
Okay, so upload. While it's compiling, short it out. Boop, boop. When it says upload, do it again. Okay, come on, upload, boop. Hey, there we go.
Aha! Setting up device. Hey, wait.
That's
Why does it think? Oh, that must right.
Because
of
we
course,
didn't-
that's still connected. Yeah.
okay, but that's okay because now we have it here, so we just need to do the same thing again. So, upload.
You know what, Windows? I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
But that's good. That means the driver's installed. Okay. Why are... Goodbye. You know, I should really keep a small button in my microcontrollers box just for when it's time to do this, so that I can wire it up with the jumpers and I'm not trying to just touch
Yeah,
a
yeah.
pin.
Oh yeah, you just go like book book. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, compiling.
Uploading. Do not respond to command.
Exit bootloader. Well, try again. Oh wait, I switched it over last time to 5 volt.
It's also com. It says it's going on com 7 now.
Does it? Oh,
In that menu.
yeah. Dope. Well, we'll have to make sure that it's calming the right com. Com 7, okay, but if I double tap,
Com 6.
yeah, which is where we wanted it to be. So I think what I need to do is very quickly select com 6. Okay. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, and then again. Are you doing it correctly, please?
This is like cracking a safe or something.
Ah! No. How do I force you to be on com 6? Again.
There we go.
Okay. Port. Com 8. Cool.
Maybe it'll switch to 6 when that becomes available.
Yep, it did. Great. Okay, so now we need to be ready for when it's uploading. It says it's done uploading. That's not right. Oh, I think we got there. I think. Anyway, okay, so let's try. Wait a minute. Unplug. Replug. Okay. So it is on now. Com 8. Aha. Aha.
Wait, so does it think it's got the thing now? Or is
I'm
it...
going to try re-uploading again because I don't know if it thinks that it's the what it's supposed to be yet. Okay. Well, there's one way to find out. Ah. Yeah, you know what? Fine. Try it anyway.
You know, in like video games, there's like hacking mini games, and you're like, oh, this is totally ridiculous. You know, where you have to push this push this thing, and the little thing will be going for 10 seconds, and then you have to go do this. And you're like, this is a stupid little weird thing. It's like, this is actually getting pretty close to like a video game hacking minigame. Yeah, so now it's... I mean, before it actually was... It actually thought it
Yeah.
was the thing, but now it doesn't anymore.
Now it's not saying that. Okay, one more time. Upload. Do the flash. Wait for sketch to compile. Do the flash. And it's not coming back again as the device. Well, that's weird. Let's try flashing again back the the fresh firmware.
What if you change that boards file back to what it was?
That's also a good plan. I should have made a duplicate, shouldn't I? Let's see here. We are in, let's take a copy of that, move it to the desktop. And then we are going to, that's the right one, right? Yes, SparkFun. Let's go back to the tools, board manager.
I guess if you like reinstall it, it should insert that back in.
That's the idea. Pro Micro. SparkFun AVR boards. Remove. Yes. SparkFun AVR boards. Install. Oh. This is going to be super cool when it works. Okay. Let's go back into here. Let's make sure we've got our device manager again. No Bluetooth, no other devices, just COM ports. Okay, and we are on the, oh no, AVR boards, Pro Micro, 5 volt, COM 8.
Well, now we have to do the reset thing. But.
Yeah. Could not find boards.txt. Let's close that down and relaunch Arduino. If it builds that boards.txt on its own, that's that'd be interesting. Hello, Arduino. Yeah, so it's got a new boards file. Good. So it did get what we wanted. Initialize your packages. The hardware works.
Mm-hmm.
Hardware works great. Oh, I'd say it's almost time for a new laptop, but I don't want to give up this form factor. All right, let's begin with a new empty thing. On COM. Boop, boop. 6. Okay, hold on a second. Tools, port. Yeah, that might be the easiest way to do that. Okay. Reset first time. Alt, tools. Nope. And tools says that COM6 is where we want to go. Good. Okay, we're getting there. Upload. Upload. Compiled sketch. Doot doot. Doot doot. SparkFun Pro Micro. Okay.
Okay. So now we are back to where we were at the beginning.
Yes.
And it is
A new device on COM9. But that's okay, because the bootloader only ever shows up on COM6. So as long as we'll have to fix that one too. Okay. Ground to double reset. Alt tools. Going up. Okay.
so now we need to switch that boards back for this.
Yes.
thing.
So we're going to close that up. We're going to rename boards.txt to boards.txt.back.
Good old .back files.
It might become unreadable if you do that. Are you sure? Yes. Okay. I'm actually just going to go back here and make a shortcut. There we go. Never sure what the Windows command is for that. Okay, boards is there. We'll move this back over here so we can see it. And Arduino. Whew, fun. I'm really glad at how reliably the Arduino IDE launches. Yes, that was very dry.
That's like it's funny because it is not reliable. Is it? It's like a Java app, isn't it?
I've never actually looked into it, to be honest. But it does have that feel. Okay, good. It doesn't have its port ready, so we should be good now. So let's compile.
So we still have to do the reset thing. Eh?
Yep.
I thought that would make it so we didn't have to do
Actually, let's see if we can do it with it. No, yeah, because it's just a serial device. That's right. Ah, right. I just compiled.
If you've just compiled, you don't need to compile again if you're just telling it to upload. Uploading.
Okay. There we go. It seemed to be making more numbers then. Okay. So let's unplug that.
Bloop.
Plug it back in. Let's uninstall the USB COM 8.
Darn it.
Yeah,
It was.
something was happening. Oh, now it's...
That's interesting. It just rebooted it.
Yeah, it just re-uploaded itself. Okay, let's try it one more time, just uninstalling that device, and plugging and replugging. Well, howdy to you too, then. I'm going to try one more thing, and I'm going to try and throw this back to the 3.3 volts and see if that does any difference for me. Ground, double up. Oh, interesting. AVR programmer did not respond to command. Exit bootloader. Failed. Wow. What's going on? One last time. Okay, at least it's using the right port now. Oh, wait. Speed device not recognized. No, that's the opposite of what we want. We want it to be recognized as something.
You've put the new the old or the boards file that has the correct info in it in there, right?
We've gone back now to the, yeah. Let's double check to make sure it's in there. Makey Pro Micro. Yep, Space Mouse Pro, cabled. With the, I want to say correct. Files, 26F, PID 0631, yep.
So here's, as just one last thing to try here.
Yeah.
Here's a different, I have a different thing for, so it says go to your IDE preferences and put it into verbose mode.
Okay. Ah, there it is. Show verbose mode during upload and compilation, or just upload, do you think? Wait a minute.
I think upload is the thing to...
Yeah.
So what this person says is select the COM port in the IDE while you can. It doesn't matter which port you select if you have another Arduino. So just make sure the COM port is selected. And then it says connect on Pro Micro while keeping it in reset mode.
Connect it well.
With the so keep it in so like double tap, but then hold it, like keep it in reset mode.
Mm-hmm.
With the Pro Micro still in reset, compile and upload. When the IDE reports memory usage and starts spitting out lines like COM X, COM Y, release the reset button.
Okay.
So rather than doing it twice, this is just sort of like double tap and hold.
And then once it says uploading, then let go.
Yeah.
We're doing that now.
Yeah, so now then release. Whoop, that doesn't look good.
Okay.
But it's different. Oh, I guess it's just got more info. Wait. Is that actually... No, maybe that's not actually bad. It's just in red for some reason.
It all looks good. 100%.
but also it didn't actually do anything.
No. Actually, I'm going to do one more thing here, which may change things because it tends to for no good reason. I'm going to restart the computer.
You know what?
It's weird how often that fixes this sort of thing, and I'll be very upset if that does it. All right.
Such is the way it goes.
But hey, at least we aren't doing this in Bluetooth, right?
I mean, I suppose there is that aspect where Windows is like connect, disconnect, connect, disconnect, connect, disconnect. I don't know what this is. I know what this is. I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is. What? And now I know that this is. What are you doing?
You come back and tell me when you're ready.
Yeah. How are you unplugging and plugging in your USB port that fast?
I'm just going to do nothing until...
Young man, you figure yourself out.
Okay. What does the device manager say about this? Ports and comms. USB serial device. And USB serial bus controllers are not there. Well, I feel like this... I'm half tempted just to throw another one in there, or just connect it to the USB to see what happens when we try and flash it.
Another Arduino?
Yeah, I don't know if we've got. I don't think we've got the time to solder the header pins in there, but just see if it takes.
Sure. Might as well, yes.
Yeah.
That is a point that, like, we're not even sure that this is actually gonna, like, that this, because this is a different piece of code from the other one that was.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we could try throwing the old code back on and then putting it back in, but
Well,
that may be more trouble than it's worth. Yeah, we did know that it flashed, but we didn't know anything else about it. All right, well, you know what? At least tell me what's going on when I plug you in by yourself. And you become COM port 10. Crikey.
but, like, with the right. I've lost your because you
right,
restarted.
yeah.
I don't.
One moment, please. NDI. Boop. And nope, that's the wrong one. There we go. Should be there in a second.
Yeah, there we go.
Good. Okay, so we've got COM 10 in here is an Arduino Leonardo. We've got
So this is the So this is the new.
Yep, the new fresh board. Yeah, let's just push the button for upload. And
Wait, except it's a Leonardo, not a. It still said as a Leonardo. Or no? Oh, that's fine.
yeah, we're here. Good. It is a SparkFun where it counts. Come on. Okay, yeah. So this is actually giving you. Well, now it says. Huh.
So it's still not. It's still not sort of activating as a USB device.
No. It's still this USB serial device.
So, like, when it was showing up as a. When it was actually successfully showing up as the Space Mouse, that was when you uploaded the completely blank thing. And so it was just running, but it had the different USB identity. So, like, I feel like there's a reasonably good chance that the reason why it's not showing up as this Space Mouse thing is that this actual Arduino sketch is just crashing the Arduino and it's not.
It may just be incorrect completely. I mean, it compiles fine, but yeah, it definitely. I think you're right there. Well,
It says install the 3D Wix software from 3DX Connection on your computer. I don't know.
well, I mean, sure, why not? 3DX where?
I mean, the fact that it was seeing it before and now it doesn't.
That to me seems weird,
Yeah.
but I mean, hey, we got a few minutes here. 3DX where? Please give me your softwares. For Windows.
Gotta love the 10.8.12, 10.8.12 version for Linux, 1.3, 1.8, release date 2014.
Holy moly! I mean, on the other hand,
Linux, not number one support.
I mean, who knows? It could actually be working fine and just never needed an update until, well, ever.
They got it right the first time, yeah.
Show me all the downloads. Show me all the downloads.
What makes this a conservative mouse?
It polls less quickly
Oh, I
than
see.
non-conservative. I think I remember reading the initial writer found it to be a little bit jumpy sometimes, and so they had to tone it down.
There's some joke about conservative polling. Trying to get it. I don't know.
Yeah, you're generally not going to get the most accurate data out of conservative polling.
There you go.
Heavily biased.
It has a strange right drift to it.
Okay. That has been installed successfully. I don't think we need to. Retry. Okay, you know what? Close. It needs a certificate installation? Wow. Some companies just really have some ideas.
For those watching, I
Oh,
apologize. LRMTG is a show that was on before this, which is sponsored in part by Card Kingdom. And so the folks who are playing that rightly turned on the sponsored content checkbox, which is something that Twitch just added like last week.
We have not been sponsored.
This stream, however, is not currently sponsored content. I mean, yeah, I believe there's an opening.
Yeah. We're always looking.
If you've got a space mouse, they.
Are you sure you want to exit? Yes, I have not continued. I've not finished training it. We'll be back later to train you in the future. Boo!
It's important to train your space mouse, otherwise they get unruly.
Yeah, you'll end up losing all of your space cheese. Well, you know what? I'm happy with the hardware. The hardware sure turned out great today. That said, as with so many things, software is always where things fall down a bit, but that doesn't mean we can't let you know when this works.
I don't
in the
know if
future.
that's true. I feel like hardware and software both have interesting opportunities to fall down.
Very good point.
To just fall new and innovative ways.
To be honest, if you tune in at some point in the future, once we get this actually up and running, you can probably see it working on, I'm going to say, Can't Draw Horses Club. I'll probably make an appearance and we'll do some 3D stuff then.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
Yeah. But for the moment, we're going to say this is also in the line of partially successful projects that we've had here on the show, and I want to thank you all for watching. Especially those of you who are so kind as to give us your donations. Well, not donations. It's a patronage, and we are being patronized. No, you don't read too much into it. Thank you so much for all that you do for us and for helping us keep all of these shows on the air. That's going to do it for Tinker Tailor Soldier Fry for the night. Once again, thanks for watching, and we will see you in a fortnight's time for another project. Until then, ever forward, learning out of spite. Good night.